And I think it's those types of guys that really supplement the rest of the crew on this roster. So I think you have a really good mix going on right now. I mean, we can always talk about flaws here and there, but something seems to be working.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
We're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
So go ahead, grab your favorite Rays gear and settle in as we discuss the Tampa Bay Rays taking down the Boston Red Sox in game 1 of a 3-game set. High-scoring affair again for Tampa Bay, winning 10-8 in extra innings. Ian Seymour officially made his major league debut and got a win in relief. And all-star voting is now afoot. So we'll banter about who we think might get the call or earn the call for the Rays to represent in that affair. So, Ulises, we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. But before we get to all of that, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year.
A couple things here. So I only got to catch the tail end of the Rays Red Sox game because I was at the Phillies game, the Phillies Cubs game that also went into extra innings. So I got a lot of extra baseball. So while I was in the car riding home, I was able to catch the later portions and ultimately the victory for Tampa Bay. And I'll tell you what, there were a lot of wild things in the Rays game, but also the game I was at in Philly, there were a lot of wild things as well, like 2 extra inning bunt singles. Not every day that you see a situation like that occur, but good for the Rays. Battling, grinding, fighting to win a back and forth contest against the Red Sox. And it seemed like there was a little bit of everything in this game, except for a home run. Was there a home run in this game? I can't recall there being a dinger by anybody.
Not by the Rays, and yet they end up scoring 10 runs and winning the game. You score 10 runs against the Marlins and you lose. You score 10 runs against the Red Sox and you win. That's baseball, Susan. I feel like yesterday's game, that ping pong feel of the scoring, it just illustrates that this team just has that cliche thing that we all say, that they never give up and they have that want. And I feel like the team is believing that they can do it. I'm a firm believer in not looking at standings until August 1st. I don't care about the standings until August 1st. And you know why, but maybe people that don't know why, it's because I lived through 2011. I know what can happen on September 1st when you're 9 games back. I know what can happen. Beer and fried chicken can happen. Okay, baby? Right. So I don't have to look at standings until August. But if you want to take a gander at them, they're starting to look rather nice if you're a Rays fan. And it's games like these that you don't let them go. Those are the ones that should hopefully be a good indicator that this is a playoff team.
Yes, and of course, we do have a long way to go, and even better news on the 4. I think it won't be too much longer until we see Ha-Seong Kim in a Rays uniform, hopefully contributing as well. But I just want to start off, I mean, there's a lot of different angles we can take with this game, but I just want to give a golf clap to Jake Mangum, 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs, and were his 2 RBIs? Did he hit a ball out of the infield with those RBIs? It seemed like there were in a rare number of choppers and bouncers that didn't leave the infield.
Yeah.
That one way or another, a run was scored on both sides, whether it's by throwing air or a runners at third or a misplay. Just a lot of wacky stuff going on in the infield, in the outfield for that matter too, with the corner outfielders for the Red Sox, where balls got by the number one prospect in all of baseball, Roman Anthony, and then a ball got by Jarren Duran. I mean, that may have been the game there. The fact that those two plays or hits that turned into extra base situations allowed the Rays to push forward a little bit more.
I agree with Jake Mangum. I mean, again, coming back from that IL stint, look at his numbers: 302 with a 701 OPS, and he gives you that speed. It's not Chandler Simpson's speed, but by God, it's pretty fast. And I think
and it gives you that grind it mentality too. Plus the defense in the outfield. Like, he's a quote unquote dirtbag player that he is not going to lollygag around. He's going to give his full hearted effort. And I think it's those types of guys that really supplement the rest of the crew on this roster. So I think you have a really good mix going on right now. I mean, we can always talk about flaws here and there, but something seems to be working. I mean, when Yandy Diaz is also getting 2 hits and raising his batting average and OPS up and really making an effort to hit the ball the other way, whether it's a single, a double, or a home run, there are positives to gain.
Yeah, and Jake Mangum. I mean, when you talked about Ha-Seong Kim, that becomes a bigger and thicker lineup, and I know Chandler Simpson is going to come back at any point. That's going to make. I mean, honestly, I cannot wait to have both Mangum and Simpson in the same lineup. I know our buddy Evan said that they were redundant, but I don't feel like that's a bad redundancy to have. 2 guys who are incredibly fast that can slap the ball around and can create havoc on the bases. Yeah, I'll have what she's having. Like, give me 2 of those. But
and that might be where the trade conversation has to ramp up with a couple players on this roster. How are you going to find room for Chandler Simpson? How are you going to find room for Ha-Seong Kim? How are you going to find room for other players throughout the 26-man as well?
Do you believe in the numbers here from Josh Lowe in 262 and a 773, Brandon Lowe with a 245 and a 740 OPS, Yandy getting better, 252, the 720 OPS? Obviously, we know what Aranda has done, and we're going to highlight it a little bit later. We talked about Mangum. Caminero getting hot, 256 with a 795. So if you believe that this team is going to track better, maybe Taylor Walls being a defensive replacement isn't such a bad thing, is it?
Yeah, that can work. I mean, he made the last play of the game. I would imagine it makes Ian Seymour feeling more comfortable when he's at short and he can give up contact and know that Taylor Walls will be there to snag a play.
So if you're able to use Taylor Walls like he should be used, he's a great piece. He's not a great piece when he's overexposed like he has been in 2022 and in 2025, 1,000%. So it's a very intriguing part of the season where we are right now. I believe they've won, let me see, over the last, I think, 19 games, they've won 15 of them. That's a really good mark. It's a very critical point we've entered in this Rays 2025 season, and we've got loads to talk about up next.
Yes, we do. We've got more coming up next, and thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. They've got an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and latest products information to help you get the job done right. Plus, they've got an inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, so you'll get exactly what you need and delivered fast from coast to coast. You can join their free Trade Master Program, which offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order by going to supplyhouse.com/TM, and you can start ordering everything, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Again, you can do all of that at supplyhouse.com.
All right, Ulises, one of the bigger storylines from the game, besides Jake Mangum and Jonathan Aranda and Yandy Diaz and some of the others, Ian Seymour making his major league debut at Fenway Park against the Red Sox, picking up the win, cleaning up the mess from Pete Fairbanks in the previous action, and having to pitch into extras. Key moment, critical situation, high pressure, and for all intents and purposes, maintained his poise and composure to get it done. There were some tough situations back and forth. I know he walked a couple guys, and there was that play that couldn't be made at first on a chopper, and ultimately he handled it all. And I think there might be something with the Seymour kid. I also like the fact that he pitched backwards couple times there. I think one of the batters, I can't recall who it was exactly, but I was glancing in and glancing out, but I think he threw 3 or 4 straight changeups and then came back with a fastball down the middle and caught the guy looking.
And can we just talk about how good that changeup is and how good the deception is and how good he makes a 92-mile-an-hour fastball look right in the middle of the strike zone and just fooling guys. It was really fun to see him make his debut. Obviously, 30 minutes away from Fenway Park. That's where he grew up. So that's pretty sick for him and his family. But yeah, I've been excited about this kid since being drafted. I think we should take back our earlier Locked On Rays tradition where we had a Your Boy draft. I think that would be fun, and he would make my boy draft for sure. Watching him pitch yesterday, it just begs the question, what is going to happen with the starting rotation? Can he be a bullpen weapon? 1,000%. But he's been stretched out. So how to utilize him better? How are you going to utilize Joe Boyle? Yeah, depth is fantastic, and you should always have depth. But when does that breaking point where you might be hurting the guy's confidence by not bringing him up? Zach Littell has been pitching phenomenally. Really, if you look at, for example, left on base percentage, he's high up there with the best. I think he's 4th in the American League. The rotation is doing really good stuff, but there's more out there that is doing really good stuff and interesting too. So the pitching for the 2025 Rays is going to be making some difficult decisions.
Yeah, and at some point, Shane McClanahan's supposed to return, correct?
Exactly. So what do you do then?
Yeah, a lot of times I feel like it more or less gets resolved on its own. As unfortunate as it is to speak about, a starting pitcher will go down with some sort of ailment or injury, no matter how minor or major. So usually those issues solve themselves. But what'd you say? The Rays have won 15 of their last 19?
Correct.
So I am fine with keeping out the crew. That's getting you winning 80% of your games. The starting pitching has been spectacular over the last couple weeks, and they've done everything that they can possibly do to put the Rays in a winning situation. Now it's on the offense to score enough runs to win those games. But yeah, that might be a conversation of, if the Rays really see that they have enough depth that they can pull off some sort of trade, not for a prospect, not for a salary dump, but something that can help this team this year and maybe the next couple years, whether that is a backup catcher or whoever it may be, some replacement for Chris Morel, finding out a maneuver that benefits both sides. So, but as of right now, I would just wait and see, and let's see how things look in July, and then maybe reassess.
I agree with it. Usually does figure itself out. I agree with that. But just like we were talking about before the season, hey, what if they're all healthy? McClanahan went down. What do you do with those 6 guys? There will come a time when a decision needs to be made about Shane McClanahan. Hopefully nobody's hurt. But if it does, that'll have to happen. It's very interesting. But no, really, congratulations to Ian Seymour. He was really fun to see pitch, and in a high pressure situation, not only in extra innings, but there's a ghost runner behind him now.
Exactly. So, which I know he's been used to in the minors, but again, you're not at Fenway Park. You're not
making your MLB debut. You're not seeing Red Sox on the opposing players. You got a big dumping green monster behind you. Like it's a whole different atmosphere, man. So good for him for getting that win. Too bad he also got a blown save, but that's baseball too. I think Jonathan Aranda came up with the worst timing to make his worst defensive blunder of the season, but it's going to happen, right? That things you can't pick them, but it was rather unfortunate at that specific time.
Yeah, and I would have to look at the exit velocity, but it seemed like it came off the bat pretty hard, and I think that Aranda was just twisted up, and everybody's going to make mistakes. Even Taylor Walls makes mistakes. The best of them make mistakes. So
I think there were 2 mistakes in that play. Like not only the not corralling it correctly, but maybe after you're not corralling it correctly, put the baseball in your pocket.
Yeah. Just hold on to it, and you don't want an error to lead to another error or another mistake and really exacerbate itself. That makes total sense. Yeah, and I continue to stand by. It's always kind of breath holding when you have a pitcher covering first. Sometimes they can't handle the throw. They're not used to handling those types of throws, and running to the bag, twist an ankle, a million things can happen that can be a poor outcome for the pitcher. Moreover, having my other point is, having a pitcher make a throw to first that's not a pickup, that's actually on a ground ball or a bunt or something like that, usually doesn't end well either. So anytime there's a game situation and the pitcher is involved in first base somehow, it's usually not good.
If you don't believe Kevin, which you 100% should, go look up what happened with Shohei Ohtani and Morejon yesterday in that San Diego Padres-Dodgers game. Morejon gets a comebacker from Ohtani and just acts like he has never thrown a baseball in his life, and Ohtani comes up to second base. Like, those things usually happen, and so maybe that's one where Aranda next time can just put the ball in his pocket.
Yes. One other note too. We talked about what are you going to do with the pitching situation. We have Seymour, Joe Boyle, and Shane McClanahan. Zach Littell seems to be the name that's frequently mentioned, and rightfully so. But I also wouldn't put it totally out of the realm of possibility that the Rays get even more creative and say, all right, we can afford to trade Shane Baz to you. We can afford to trade Taj Bradley to you if they know that Joe Boyle or someone like that can step in and be as productive or more productive. So I will say it should be an interesting trade deadline. I mean, there's already rumors afoot about, hey, the Yankees would be a great fit for Brandon Lowe. Pete Fairbanks would be a great fit for the Phillies. Yandy Diaz would be a great fit for anybody that needs a solid bat. So that's going to be some of the fun discussion, I'm sure, over the next couple of weeks and, next month and a half, 2 months regarding this podcast. But first, we do have to tell the audience something very important that is next on the Locked On Rays podcast, your team every day.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It takes less than 5 minutes to get started, and it's a complete look at your financial well-being. It manages your money. You can start building wealth. It's fantastic. It gives you everything. It's not just a budgeting app. And today, you can get started and take control of your finances with Monarch Money using code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's right. Using code LOCKEDONMLB gets you 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Again, monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
All right, so I was at the Phillies game yesterday, and one cool feature they had, which I don't know if the Rays do or plan to do, but they had like an A-frame set up, and if you scan the QR code and vote for Phillies players, you get a free koozie or a swag bag or some piece of merchandise or memorabilia. So I'm hoping that the Rays will do something similar to that at Steinbrenner Field, but it is the season. 'Tis the season for MLB All-Star voting.
Yes, it is. Actually, got an email in front of me from RaysBaseball.com, which says Phase 1 of All-Star voting is live, and we know you want to see your Rays in Atlanta. Cast your vote and select the Tampa Bay Rays as your favorite club to receive 50% off up to 4 tickets in eligible locations for a Tampa Bay Rays 2025 home game in June or July.
How about that? So the Rays are now doing their part in creating an incentive package for you to vote for maybe Jonathan Aranda, maybe Drew Rasmussen, maybe Junior Caminero, maybe somebody else. We did put it on the Twitter machine and asked the folks out there who they think will represent the Rays in this year's MLB All-Star game. So before we get to some of those comments, just Ulises, where's your head out right now with the Rays and the All-Star possibles? Like, we know there's going to be at least one Ray player in the All-Star game because there has to be. Even the White Sox will have an All-Star representative. Yeah. But will there be multiple Rays representatives?
It's looking not so good for multiple Rays, but I do have 2 in mind. Obviously, the first one, I think he actually could be the starter. At first base is Jonathan Aranda. Let me just give you guys some numbers here. He's hitting .323 with a .409 on base and a .490 slug, 7 home runs. He has a .161 WRC plus. That's first in American League for all first basemen. His average at .323, first in American League. His on-base percentage of .409, first. He's second in F4 amongst first basemen. He's third in slugging amongst all American League first basemen. And he is hitting everything. Fastballs at a .321 clip, breaking balls at a .340 clip, and off speed at a .308 clip. He is striking out the most on fastballs, which was kind of interesting. 63% of his strikeouts have come on the fastball. But the biggest red flag I'm seeing in all of his numbers, which are very pristine and very nice to look at, it's that BABIP. It's currently at 410, and it's the highest among qualified first basemen. If I want to be devil's advocate, this BABIP could be explained by his 53% hard hit rate, which is in the 92nd percentile. The average exit velo is in the 88th percentile. So maybe that's a way that you can get some BABIP is, hey, things are falling in because they're so hard. I don't know, but it's fun to see all of those numbers.
It could come back down to earth a little bit, but you can't argue with the slash line. There will be traditionally, I think, year over year, the American League first base position has been relatively weak competition. It's basically been, all right, Vlad Guerrero, he's automatically in. He's the incumbent year in and year out. I think he's made 4 straight All-Star appearances, but Aranda will have to go up against him, Paul Goldschmidt, who's having a turnaround year, and Spencer Torkelson, who has a bunch of dingers, but I would think that Aranda, if he's not the starter, he'll at least squeeze in just by the slash line and some of the numbers that you represented. And as a little added bonus, I would think that Mexico and the baseball fans there, or anybody who is of Mexican descent, can go out and support Aranda. I think that would be a nice touch as well. But really, he's been the most consistent, steady player, even beyond the Rays stretch that they're at right now. When they were, I hate to say it, a dumpster fire earlier on in the season, he was still one guy that came out on top when he was getting no support. So I think it would be nice. It would help his case if he had a couple more dingers. Like if he was in double-digit dingers right now, it'd be absolutely no doubter, no brainer, because it is a power-oriented position, corner spot. But I think you really can't argue with what he's done to this point, and you hope he's able to keep it up through the course of All-Star voting. And I would imagine that, there's always going to be injury replacements and guys that don't want to go, and ipso facto, there's more opportunities than just the 32 main guys that are part of the All-Star festivity. So I mean, if I was to put a poll up or to put odds up, I would think Jonathan Aranda would be the 1A for the Rays. And then after that, like you mentioned, it does get murkier. I know there's a lot of chatter about Drew Rasmussen. My issue with Drew Rasmussen right now at this moment is the innings pitched isn't there.
100%. It's the innings pitch. You look at his numbers. He's actually averaging 5 1/3 per outing. That doesn't quite. I love me some Rasmussen, but I need to see a little bit more length if I'm casting like all-star, like if in your starter, like all his numbers are there, man. I mean, look, he has a 1.4 WAR, a .90 WHIP. That's delicious. A 2.22 ERA. Opponents average at 196. Everything you want is there. It's the innings pitched that might ding him a little bit, because he's third in the AL in WHIP, fifth in the AL in left on base, the strand rate, and seventh in the AL with opposing average at 196. So he's got the numbers, but I agree with you. It's the innings that might do him in.
Yeah, and Onslow, I mean, not to the extent of Rasmussen, but Aranda wasn't getting as much play against lefties, so his games played in action isn't necessarily up there with some of the other candidates. I mean, Drew Rasmussen, brass tacks, I think he's 5th on the Rays in innings pitched. So,
but yeah,
and the competition is stiff for AL starters this year. I mean, you go up and down the list, and a lot of these guys are, in the high 70s of innings or low 80s or mid 80s of innings, and we're seeing well below 3 ERAs and 2 ERAs and 1+ ERAs. So it would really have to be some sort of makeover, I think, for him to find a way in. He also has the added storyline and bonus of 3 elbow surgeries. So maybe there is a way to squeak in if he really starts, pitching 7 shutties over the next several weeks. But I think, we might just be resting our case with Jonathan Aranda. We might get Junior Caminero in the home run derby, not the All-Star game. That's a possibility as well, I guess.
I agree, though. It's going to be tough for him not because he doesn't have the numbers, but it's rather because of the competition. Unlike Aranda, which the competition is not that stiff, and you could see, him having a greater advantage to that.
And that's honestly where like a guy like Brandon Lowe could squeeze in, because second base outside of Gleyber Torres, it's not like there's a ton of guys chomping at the bit there. So if you have a chance, just look up some of the American League pitching leaders that are putting forth amazing performances. I'm trying to pull it up right here, but I'm just going by innings pitched, and you look at Crochet and Valdez and Rodon and Skubal and Freed, obviously Hunter Brown, Kikuchi, Brian Wu, Jacob deGrom. I mean, there is a long list. Plus, like the White Sox could kind of screw the Rays in a sense, because their lone All-Star representative could be Shane Smith, a starting pitcher. So that could inevitably knock out Drew Rasmussen. But there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
Go out, vote just like you would in the presidential election. Although in this one, you can vote, I think, 5 times a day, and you can play all sorts of games with fake email addresses. I mean, do whatever you have to do to get those numbers up. So, and hopefully it works out for the Rays case there. But
there's plenty of time left, and we're going to be talking about this multiple times. I know we have some comments from folks, but yeah, like this is not the last time we're going to be asking about this.
Right. Sure. Yeah. This will be an ongoing discussion. Might have to have Klosky on and have him discuss it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to run through all the comments here. It's just sort of the storyline of Aranda, Brandon Lowe, Rasmussen, Pete Fairbanks even. So it's kind of going all over the map. I mean, there's even been a case for Eric Orsi, and somebody made a joke about Chris Morel as well. Yeah, he'd be on the list to be most traded, maybe. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I mean, kind of sucks as well, but Isaac Paredes is likely to be an all-star this year.
Isaac Paredes, that's why when people say Junior Caminero, I'm like, well, you get sad by looking at Isaac Paredes' numbers and then Jose Ramirez numbers, and then come back to me if you actually think Junior Caminero is an all-star, and the answer should be no, not in that competition.
Yes. Very good. All right. On that note, thank you for listening to this episode and making us, the Locked On Rays podcast, your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night, all season long. It has local analysis on a national scale. You can also find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on the YouTubes or wherever you listen to those podcasts.